Arab Spring, a series of revolution in Arab world, were spontaneous, or somebody actually wrote a script and schemes how it should happen?
It is now very plain and clear that there was an interior agenda and an exterior appearance of spontaneity, whereas there's an interior agenda which was planned, meticulously planned. That planning was done on behalf of the Judeo-Christian Zionist Alliance, which is in Western Christianity. You know which Christianity I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
The one which does not allow anyone to have a beard. No. The Lord God put the beard on the face of the face, but they say no, no beard, that Christianity. But they have one man who does have a very big beard, white beard, and he has come to take over. He's hijacked Jesus now, and he comes once a year on a reindeer, a fellow called Santa Claus. I'm talking about that Christianity, okay? I hope Santa Claus doesn't come to Orthodox Christianity. If he's come here, please repatriate him. That Christian world is different from this Christian world. That Christian world reconciled with Judaism, not with the Semitic Jew, who is now a small minority, but with a mysterious person called the European Jew. I don't know where he came from. How could a European be a Jew? And that reconciliation led to a Judeo-Christian alliance that the Quran speaks about, and prohibits us Muslims from being friends and allies of that alliance. The binding force was Zionism. So Christian Zionists and Jewish Zionists, or Zionist Jews, established this Judeo-Christian Zionist alliance. That alliance has NATO as its military arm to do its dirty work for it. The alliance knows that they have to wage war on Egypt, and that Israel has to wage war in order to expand its territory, to encompass the biblical frontiers of the Holy Land, which is from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Our sources declare that to be false. That is not the frontiers of the Holy Land, but it's there. When Israel wages that war to take the eastern delta of Egypt, you need more than aerial warfare, naval warfare, you need land warfare. As they say, you need boots on the ground. But Egypt has about 80 million people. How are you going to do it? The answer is you need NATO on one side and Israel on the other side, so that Egypt would be sandwiched. So while there was the appearance of spontaneity in the external manifestation of the Arab Spring, there was internal planning to get NATO to take control of Libya, and that's what has happened, thanks to these fools who went and waged their CIA jihad. They need Syria. They absolutely need Syria. If they have Syria, they'll have Lebanon like that in their grip. And Israel will then be able to wage a big war, and it'll be like a cruise, easy for them. That's the internal planning.
That leads us to the question, you mentioned earlier ISIS. What is your opinion about ISIS, about its origins and goals?
We always knew that those who are waging the so-called jihad, whatever be the name they had, and the names are always changing, you know, like musical chairs. Yesterday we were hearing about something called Al-Qaeda. Well, I've been along I never heard the name. I'm 73 years of age. Where did this come from? Al-Qaeda. And it took controls of all the airways and so on, all the media. And now something else, and tomorrow something else. So you know they keep on changing names, but it's the same people all the time. So where are they getting their weapons from? Who is funding them? We always knew the external appearance they wanted to be accepted was one of a valid jihad. The internal reality was that it was still these wicked people in the CIA and the Israeli Mossad and the British intelligence and so on, who were not only doing the planning, but also the funding and providing the weapons and doing the training and so on. Lo and behold, when Russia intervened, suddenly we're hearing voices. Oh, but you're not attacking ISIS. You're attacking our boys. Oh, okay. So now the evidence is coming out that the CIA is now admitting that they were funding and they were training and they were arming and they were providing the weapons for the opposition to Assad in Libya, in Syria. So now we can legitimately declare it's a CIA jihad. But I have a better name for it, for ISIS and company. I call it the Yankee jihad.
Russian intervention in Syria changed the balance of power in that war right now. Do you see the end of the conflict, and how will Syria and entire Middle East look at its end?
This is where Christian eschatology and Islamic eschatology has to take over and help political science. Yes, I am myself a student of international politics and international economics and so on, so I know the subject. But I tell you, the tools of political analysis are inadequate. You need eschatology. And Christian eschatology and Islamic eschatology has to come together and interact with each other, because there's that in Christian eschatology which we don't have, and there's that in Islamic eschatology that you don't have. So I have to learn, I have to listen, I have to benefit from Christian eschatology. And I hope that the Christian will also want to listen and learn from what I have to offer in Islamic eschatology. The eschatological perspective that we bring allows us to recognize that we are now located at a moment in the historical process which is a moment of transition from, in the same way there was transition from Pax Britannica to Pax Americana. We are now in transition from Pax Americana to something which is to come after it. We recognize it to be Pax Judaica. Pax means peace, but there's nothing peaceful about it. There's only blood and lies. So the name Pax is a misnomer. This so-called Pax Judaica is to replace Pax Americana, which is why the US dollar is now in irreversible decline, which is why the United States as a power in the world, the ruling state, is now in irreversible decline. And we recognize that in order for Pax Americana to replace Pax Britannica, not only was there a requirement for change in the monetary system, with the British pound giving way to the US dollar, but great wars had to be fought. First World War and Second World War. Millions had to die. Similarly, we say that in order for Pax Judaica to replace Pax Americana, you need a big war or wars. What we've been having so far may be defined as the hors d'oeuvres of the war which is to come. The eschatology In Christianity, it says it's Armagedon. In Islam, it's called the Malhama, and all the Muslims know about it. My eschatological viewpoint is that we are now approaching that big war, and that it's going to be a nuclear war, and the pieces are now in place. Once Russia has intervened militarily in Syria, and Russia has done that, Russia is not going to back out. Russia is not going to scale down her involvement. Once Russia has intervened, the NATO opponent has to augment his involvement. He has to come into the scene publicly the way Russia has come into the scene publicly. And as NATO does that, Russia will respond. NATO much prefers to fight Libya. Yeah. Because you can fight Libya and you can go home and have dinner. But you can't do that with Russia. The nice thing about the Muslim-Christian alliance, which supports Russia, which I'm working for, is that Muslims and Christians are not afraid to die because of our faith. If millions have to die, Daniel, in order for the oppressor to bite the dust, we don't mind dying. But those who are in the American Armed Forces because of a green card, they don't want to die. No. So they're scared of nuclear war. So I don't think Russia wants nuclear war. But Russia is saying, we are not afraid of you. I don't think the US Armed Forces want nuclear war because they're scared of death. But there are those who do want nuclear war. And it's time for Bosnia to understand that. There are those who do want nuclear war, and Bosnia knows who they are. I don't have to tell Bosnia that. They want nuclear war because they want to rule the world. They want to succeed the United States as the next ruling state. But Israel is too small. It is either that Israel must expand to become a much bigger state, to become a successor to the United States, or the world has to become smaller. Which one will it be? You know the answer, Daniel. That's why they want nuclear war. So that what is left of the world after nuclear war, Israel can easily manage to rule. And when Israel becomes the ruling state in the world, then at that time, our prophet has said, at that time, a day like a week for Dajjal, the Antichrist, would have come. And then after that, the Antichrist or Dajjal will emerge as a human being in Jerusalem and declare he's the Messiah. This is eschatology. So yes, my answer is, we are now steering nuclear war in the fish. How do we respond? Number one, do not be afraid of death. I know the Christians are not afraid of death. And I want to say to my Muslim brothers also, you must not be afraid of death. No. If death has to come, let it come. Don't run from the battlefield because you're afraid of death. If nuclear war is to come, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the godless oppressor, who now a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate? Is that where your heart is? Don't you have any sense in your head? Or is your loyalty to the one who is standing up to the oppressor? In the Quran there is Zulqarnain. Qarnain means 2 ages. A first age before Gog and Magog was released, and a second age afterwards. And in Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran, power in that region of the world in which the Black Sea is located, power rested on the foundations of faith, and power was used to punish the oppressor. The Quran is telling us that in time to come, in that same region of the Black Sea, and Daniel, you know that Crimea is in the Black Sea, don't forget that. Crimea is in the Black Sea. In that region of the world, destiny is that power will once more rest on the foundations of faith. Even after the Bolshevik Revolution, the Jewish Bolshevik Revolution, even after communism, even after the Soviet Union, Russia is returning to her spiritual heart. Their heart is barbarian. That's why a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate. But Russia's heart is spiritual. Can't you see that? Power is there in Russia, and they have to respect it. That power is now resting on the foundations of faith. If you don't know it, I'm telling you that. And now the world will see what is there in the Quran. That power is going to be used to punish the oppressor. So where should you be in this coming confrontation? You should be on the side of Russia. So I am sending a message to the Muslim world. Don't expect the American Republic of Pakistan to join with Russia, or the American Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to join with Russia. No. It is you, the people. You have to join, particularly if you are in the Russian Federation. Join the Russian Armed Forces. They are buying people for ISIS with $1,000 a day. You're not people to be bought and sold. Join the Russian Armed Forces and be on this side in that coming war. And if you are a young man in Saudi Arabia, come and join the armed forces of Russia. So that what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ prophesied, he said that there will be an alliance between Muslims and Rome, or Orthodox Christianity, in the end time. That alliance will come if you join the Russian armed forces to stand up against NATO in the coming nuclear war.
What is the future of Islam in Europe?
There will be no Europe tomorrow. There will be no North America tomorrow. I think after nuclear war, Europe and North America would not be a place where it is habitable, okay? So the future is one in which sensible people should be making hijrah, migrating out of North America or migrating out of Europe. If you cannot migrate out of the country, out of that region, you should at least leave the cities and go to the remote countryside. There is a verse of the Quran in Surah Al-Isra in which Allah has spoken of the destruction of every town and city. I am beginning to reassess my understanding of the verse, that perhaps the Quran is not speaking about every single city in the world, but rather every single city which by divine guidance ought to be destroyed, like one which permits the marriage of a man with another man, you're supposed to be destroyed. So get out of the cities, such cities, where you see the legal permission for a man to marry another man, because destruction is coming, and go to the remote countryside. The Quran says those cities which are not destroyed will be punished with terrible punishment. The punishment would be that nuclear war will disrupt supply of food, supply of water. People will be starving, no water. There'll be riots. There'll be dog eat dog. And so the message that we send, while others are busy eating McDonald's hamburgers, our message is we have a little time left. My feeling, and I hope I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, Daniel, I don't think we have more than 1 year left before nuclear war. Let me say it one more time. I hope and I pray I'm wrong. But if it is to come because of dreams which I have had, then you have a little time left. Get out of the cities, because even if you are not destroyed in the nuclear war, there'll be no food, there'll be no water. And you will be responsible for the suffering of your wife and your children at that time. So go to the remote countryside and go to places where you can produce your own food and where there's a supply of water. That's the future for Europe, whether you're Muslim or you're not.
And I would like to end with your opinion about, is Samuel Huntington right? Can these two civilizations, Christian and Islamic, coexist?
Tell Samuel Huntington for me that it would be beneficial for him to take a little time to read the Quran, because something spectacular is taking place in the world that he doesn't know about. Something with enormous strategic implications is taking place in the world now, despite Samuel Huntington. And that is that two civilizations are coming closer to each other, not clash. And tomorrow Bosnia will wake up. Tomorrow Albania will wake up. They love me, yes, they love me, and they feel puzzled by my views on genocide, on Srebrenica. But tomorrow they will wake up because they love the Quran. And they know that I am teaching the Quran. And what is in the Quran must come to pass. In Spanish they say, que será, será. And in your language they say, sta bude brice. Sta bude brice. It will come to pass. These two civilizations, the Christian and the Muslim, are coming closer together. And the Quran has said, you will be the closest in love and affection to us. So tell Samuel Huntington, take a little time to read the Quran.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Poštovani gledalci, bilo je to sve za večeras. Toliko za protokole za ovu nedelju. Vidimo se ponovo za 7 dana.
Pretplati se na novu Open Big Box videoteku i uživaj neograničeno u više hiljada časova TV serija, filmskih klasika i Disneyjevi crtića dostupnih pritiskom na dugme. Kad god to želiš i koliko puta želiš, bez prekida reklamama. Ne propusti i popust na Open pretplatu sa gratis razgovorima prema MTS fiksnoj mreži u Srbiji. Pored toga odaberi novi Samsung TV na rate. Više od televizije. MTL Open. Otvoreno za sve.
Imamo veliko dvorište, kuću na sprat, iza kuće sve prateće objekte, štalu i voćnjak sa 2 hektara šljive savke. Čovjek bi rekao malo li je. Pravo da vam kažem, i nije malo, mada može to puno bolje. To će tek da vrijedi.
Jedina uknjižena imovina je vrijedna imovina. Odazovi se našem pozivu za izlaganje i uknjiži svoju nepokretnost potpuno besplatno. Uknjiženo vrijedi više. Republička uprava za geodetske i imovinsko-pravne poslove Republike Srpske.
Kupite svoju kartu za biznis prve klase. Poslujte sa novim M-Biz tarifama sa neograničenim razgovorima prema fiksnim mrežama u BiH, neograničenim SMS-om i mobilnim internetom, uz dodatne bonus minute za pozive prema Srbiji. A iz bogate ponude izaberite jedan od atraktivnih uređaja za 1 km. MTL. Imate prijatelje.